All right. Outdoors today. Welcome to episode 4 of The Real Deal with yours truly, Dan Smith. Waiting for everybody, anybody, somebody, nobody to jump on here. So we'll give everybody about 30 seconds to a minute. As you come on, if you just let me know you're on and say hello, I would appreciate it. Larry Cree, Elmer Delgado, Matt Kasner, sweet, welcome everybody. Hello Matt. Alright, so getting into it in just a minute. Norvell, welcome. Sound is good, great. I'm outside as you can tell, but I don't have any waves crashing. I chose a public park to do it from today. I thought this would be a lot more fun sitting out here than it would be sitting in my boring old boardroom. Recording to everybody. So hello Laurie, hello Bambi. Alright, so got some people on. Let's get into it today. Today's shirt, by the way, National Park shirt of the week. I don't wear the shirt all week, by the way. I just mean of this week for the show. Right, Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. If you haven't been there, pretty cool spot. And I have the phone leaning up. I plan to be a little bit more mobile today. The good news is sound is good, connection is good. The bad news is El Selfie Sticko is El Brokido. So one thing or another every week we run into some sort of a cool technical difficulty. A new rule is not only have one of these with us, but I will have 2 of these with us from now on in case I want to be mobile. So I'm back to being unmobile on a park bench at a park that's by my house. And we are going this week, welcome, hello Lori, Frank, Bobby. This week we are going to be talking about Steve Hirschler up in Big Bear. Welcome. This week we're going to be talking about nothing other than how valuable is your time, our time, the time that we have available to us. How valuable is that time? What does it mean? That's what I want to talk about this week. So first of all, and again, this is interactive. Remember, Facebook Live is about interaction. It's not about watching a documentary or watching a seminar. I guess that's what webinars are for. Okay? Facebook Live is about interaction. And so I want you guys and gals right now to interact. I would like for each of you to share what is the -- time waster that you experience. Right? Valuable time means I'm working with you in the background. What is the #1 thing? You know, we talked about time being valuable. What is the #1 thing that you guys and gals experience that maybe wastes your time? Let's talk about that first. Before we talk about how valuable your time is, let's talk about the invaluable things that tend to get you off track and take a lot of time. All right, what are those things? This is the interactive part. I need you guys and gals to share. Laurie says her personal Facebook page. Keeping up on her. Now, Laurie, I'm curious. Oh, Pablo, Facebook. I'm curious. Anybody who's saying Facebook, does that mean updating it? Does that mean putting content out there? Does that mean, or does that mean, like Laurie said, does that mean surfing on your page and looking at what everybody else is saying, commenting all the games and crapola that can sometimes be on there? Norvell says not Facebook, but Instagram. Same question to you, Norvell, for Instagram. Is it the posting that takes so long, or is it looking at all the other shit that's out there that's taking so long? Matt Kasner, I agree. Having a phone in my hands is what that means to me, right? If you have your phone in your hands, you're looking at Facebook. So what is it? Updating myself with what everyone does with their time while thinking about it. You know, if you were to go, like, I don't know, I have like 1,500 friends or something on my personal page here. And if I were scrolling through, right? Norvell says scrolling through. Exactly. And if I were to scroll through, it would take me about hours. It would take me a couple hours, probably, to get through every single one of my friends' posts in the last 15 minutes. I couldn't keep up. Literally, there's too many people. I couldn't keep up. The longer I scrolled, the further I would probably get behind. And so you can't do that. The purpose of Facebook is not to spend your life living on Facebook and other people's posts, right? So, okay, that's a big monumental waste of time. Being distracted by everybody else, says Lori. Pablo says he's with Lori on this, right? So, okay, we spend too much time on Facebook. Now, who here, I'm going to try to be intelligible. Who here feels that you spend too much time posting good content on Facebook? If anybody feels that way, please go ahead and say so now. You feel like you spend too much time posting good content on Facebook, then go ahead and put that. Bobby says she's with Lori, but I don't think Lori's was that. I think Lori's was something else. But you do spend too much time, as Norvell said, scrolling, going down, seeing what's happening in everybody else's life, reading all those things. So that's that. Okay, there's a time waster. What else other than social media? Because we've got Facebook and Instagram and scrolling mentioned. We don't have like posting content. It's more about just getting sucked into other people's worlds. What else is a big time waster for all of you guys and gals? What else goes on out there where you're wasting time, that's taking valuable time away from something else that you could be doing? Is it too much time reading? Is it too much time, I'm on Facebook newbie, so this is good info to have? I should be posting and marketing. Yeah, it's a good one, right, Lori? It's a good idea to be on Facebook if you're putting out content, if you're marketing. It's a bad idea just reading about other people's stuff that's going on all the time. You need to limit that. Matt, I'm doing a better job making my social media part of my business. I could be doing a better job of that. Responding to personal text messages. Okay, so responding to personal text messages is taking a lot of time out of your world, Laurie. Talk to me about that. As in personal, you don't mean like your phone, but like just a buddy texts you and says, hey, you want to go get a glass of wine, or did you hear what is going on with Joe, or whatever, like that kind of personal, like not business related, but just like kind of, you know, shooting the shit personal. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, Walt, listening to news. Who else out here, what political pundits do we have today who's listening in, who spends too much time watching all the craziness that's happening with the economy and Trump and everything else? And Laurie's is, yes, too much time on personal stuff. Messaging. What do you mean by messaging, Laurie? Tell me a little bit. Laurie. Sorry, I got a Laurie and a Lori, and you guys are going back and forth out here. Laurie Teal. What do you mean by messaging? Guilty. Anybody else watching too much news besides Walt? Anybody else, like, you get sucked into to watching the Fox News or the CNBC? Oh, Messenger. So you get sucked into cat videos. Lori gets sucked into Messenger a little bit too often. Frank Lopez is watching too many cat videos, apparently. I just don't even know what to say about that, Frank. That sounds like a personal problem that you might need professional help with. Okay, so we've got social media, and then we've got digital communications. Too much time texting or too much time on Messenger. Now, I want you to add up. Everybody think about this real quick. How valuable... Oh, and the news. Lori's like, I do it all. If I can waste time, I do it. Whatever it is, I'm a professional time waster, because you've chimed in with all of them so far. And Lucas says the news only sells fear, and Bobby says, hey, Lori, want to get a glass of wine tonight? I like it. All right, so everybody who's on right now, I want you to do some quick math. All right, and I want you to share with everybody on the feed here. Do some quick math, and over the course of a day, how much time do you think you waste doing one of those few things? Either one, watching the news; two, scrolling through social media, not putting up great content; or three, having personal text or messenger conversations. And perhaps you're like Lori and you do all three of them, so you got to add those numbers together. But take those things, figure out how often per day, how many minutes, how many hours per day do you think you spend doing that? And then everybody start throwing your answers out. Let's do it quick. We got good stuff to talk about today. But I need your numbers to provide an example. Okay? Welcome to the feed. Look at that. Tomer Oder. I like it. At least an hour. Norvell says at least an hour. Lori says 2 hours, because she's like, yeah, 1 hour. I do all these things, Norvell, not just Instagram. All right, anybody else? We got 1 hour, we got 2 hours, at least an hour, we got 2 hours, we got another one that's 2 hours. All right, so guys and gals, 1 hour at the most. I want you to check this out. Yikes, 2 hours from Laura Ford. All right, I want you to check this out. If you spent, let's just call it an hour and a half a day then, because that's 3 hours by Walt, 2 hours by Janine. Our average is going up. But let's just use, so in this case, let's use 2 hours a day. Because those of you who said an hour, at least an hour, probably is closer to 2. Let's use 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. as our baseline. You know, Monday through Friday, or maybe Monday through Thursday, and then on a Saturday. But 5 days a week, you spend 2 hours a day in wasted time, be it any of the things we just talked about, or something else that's wasting your time. Okay, that's 2 hours a day. It doesn't seem like a lot, I know, but then you take it by a week, by 5 days. I just did this exercise with somebody yesterday on something else. By 5 days, and it's 10 hours a week, which doesn't seem earth-shattering, all right? But geez, if you work, let's just call it 40 weeks out of the year. 40 weeks out of the year, okay, wow, that's a lot. And that's 12 weeks off, by the way, so that gives you a lot of time off. 40 weeks out of the year, 10 hours a week, that's 400 hours. Now, if you take 400 hours and you divide that by a 40-hour work week, right, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, that's a work week. If you take 400 hours and you divide that by 40 hours, how many work weeks is it? 10 work weeks. Now, there are only 52 weeks in the year, guys and gals, and we just established that you're probably only working 40 of them. 10 of those 40 are being spent doing that kind of crapola. Think about that. Well, yeah, and if you're higher, it could be even more than that, right? But 10 weeks out of the year is being spent literally doing that stuff, scrolling, doing non-productive things, be it messaging, scrolling, responding to personal texts, a combination of all those things. Think about that. What would your business look like if you could get 10 full, what if you had 62 weeks a year to work with instead of 52? Like you had a Harry Potter time turner thing, right? If you had 62 weeks to work with instead of 52 weeks to work with, or instead of 40 weeks, since you only worked 40 weeks and took 12 weeks off, you actually got to work for 50 weeks instead of the 40 weeks. 10 freaking weeks, everybody. And these are long weeks. These aren't like vacation weeks. These are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 8 hours a day, 40-hour grind, 10 weeks. Do you think you should probably treat your time a little bit better? So the purpose of this session, right, of this episode was, how valuable is our time? Well, it doesn't seem like 2 hours is all that much. Like, 2 hours today, I'll make it back tomorrow. But man, if you just continue that and you take it all the way down over the course of the year, you're losing out 10 full, solid work weeks per year. That is not the recipe for success, just so everybody knows. That is the recipe for disaster. That is the recipe for not having the success you want, for coming up short on your goals. That is what that is a recipe for. So how valuable is our time? You've got to figure out, how do I stop that? How do I control it better? How do I limit myself? Like, who has kids here? Well, this is, you can tell that I usually stand in front of an audience and not in front of a phone screen. Because then people put their hands up. I can't see any of you put your hands up right now, so that's a silly question. Okay, but for all of you who have kids here, you probably do what with your kids when it comes to video games or being on their phone or that sort of thing? You limit the amount of time that they spend on it, don't you? You limit, like, hey, you can play a video game tonight after you finish your homework, and after we've eaten dinner, and before bed for 1 hour. Or you have 1 hour or 2 hours on Saturday to be on your phone talking to friends and Snapchatting and doing whatever. But we set a time limit for them, don't we, for our children? So that they don't, waste all of their time doing these other things and not like living real life and experiencing other things that they're there to experience, so they're not always just on their phone or their tablet. We limit their time. So perhaps you should take a little bit of that medicine for yourself and limit your time. You should set yourself on a diet, all right? A social media, Facebook Messenger, Verizon texting, watching Hannity in the news or whatever diet. That you're only allowed to do it for so long each day. And that time might be 15 minutes, right? That time, now check it out. You can't say, I'm going to set my time for an hour a day. Because if you set it for an hour a day, which is great, it's less than 2 hours a day. But check it out. In our example of 2 hours a day, it was 10 weeks out of the year you lose. So if you do it for an hour a day, it's guys, it's not tough math. It's 5 weeks out of the year you lose. A whole 5 work weeks you lose if you limit yourself to 1 hour a day. Perhaps 1 hour a day is too much time for that. All right? Perhaps that you need to really, truly considering putting yourself either one on a big diet, or 2, fasting, cutting it out entirely. a couple days a week. That's how valuable your time is. Okay? What could you get accomplished? Now, everybody, it would be tough to do this interactively in this format, but I want you to think about it. Over the course of this year, how much money do you think you're going to make? Write that number down. Everybody right now, get a piece of paper. Everybody should have something to write with. Everybody but me, right? Because I'm at a park bench in a public park talking to you. Everybody write that number down. How much money are you going to make? And I'm just going to pretend I wrote down $100,000. All right? Now, check this out. Divide that by 40, because that's about the number of weeks you work. By the time you take out Christmas and Thanksgiving and, you know, and spring break and some summer stuff and New Year's week as well, and just everything that goes on. And then sometimes you're at work, but you're not really working. You know, you're kind of there in, like, physically, but not emotionally. So you're not really getting a lot done. You're just putting in your time. It happens. So we're going to give 40 actual work weeks. So you take the dollar amount that you're going to make this year, and you divide it by 40, and that's how much you make per week. Now let's just pretend that my number, let me see, I used 100,000, I used 40, so I guess that would probably equal 2,000 would be 80. I think that's 2,500. I'm not sure, no calculator. You can't use my phone because you're watching me. But let's just call it 2,500 a week for me. Your numbers will be different if you're making 200,000, if you're making 50,000, if you're making $500,000, right? Your numbers are going to change. So take that number that you're going to make, divide it by 40. And that tells you how much you make per week, basically. And then multiply that number, the per week number, by the amount of time you're wasting. And in this case, it'd be 10 full work weeks. So in my example, if I was making $100,000 and that's $2,500 a week times 10 work weeks with my 2 hours a week being wasted, that's $25,000 I have traded to scroll, to message my friends, to be distracted, to let them take my time away from me. Now check this out. I don't like my friends that much, right? Let me see, friends, 25,000. Friends, 25,000. Now, 25,000 is at the low end, because I know some of you guys are making 2, 3, 4. There's some people right here I can see who's on the screen making 5, 6, 700,000 a year. Those numbers aren't 25,000. If you're making that kind of money, the number actually equals more like 200,000 friends. 200,000 friends. You can still have friends and the money. Just stop wasting time doing stupid shit with them. Right? Man, it really adds up if you do that math, right? Figure out how much each one of those weeks cost you. You know that you're wasting anywhere between, based on the examples we saw, 5, 10, or even some 3-hour people a day, 15 weeks per year. Multiply that amount. We're talking, for most of you, that number's approaching 6 figures, if not over. That is big. That is how you identify the value of your time, right? That's what this is supposed to be about. The value of your time. Do we add in time watching Facebook live feeds? No, when you're learning stuff, it doesn't count, right? If you're learning something, it doesn't count, okay? But if you're reading about cat videos, Frank, which I know Frank doesn't watch cat videos, but it was funny. But if you're reading about what other people did, if you're on Facebook and reading about my vacation, reading about, because I post when I go on trips and fun stuff like that. If you're reading about my vacations, I don't think that's really learning anything. That should be part of the diet. That should be part of the 10 minutes per day you give yourself. And that would be it. So talking about the true value of time, that's how you really identify value. Because we all think, well, how valuable is my time? And, oh, my time's incredibly valuable. And then you waste it. So let's identify the true value of your time. And the true value of your time is the amount you make per year divided by about 40 weeks. You know how much you make per week. And then you know how many hours you work per week. And that is the true value of your time. Like Ron just said, time is money. And that's the oldest saying there is. Time is money. There's another saying that's out there about time, though, right? You can't get it back. You can buy just about everything else, but you can't buy time back. Once it's gone, it's lost forever. So we've got to do a better job of protecting our time. And now that you understand the value, right? You understand the actual value of time. And that's a good exercise for everybody. You need to know, what is your time worth? There's that old saying, everyone's always talked about, if Bill Gates was walking down the street and he saw a $100 bill, if he stopped to pick up that $100 bill, he'd lose money because his time is worth more than the couple seconds it took. He makes more per couple seconds of doing something else than he does to stop and pick up that $100 bill. We've all heard that story. So sometimes you have somebody who's distracting you and you don't know whether or not you should do it or not. Well, you need to think about, what is your time worth? Time is money. You can't get it back. And now that you know a way to quantify and calculate how much your time is actually worth, when somebody tries to distract you and pull you away, you ought to be able to be like, this much money, talk to them. I choose this one. I'll talk to you later when I'm not at work. I'll call you tonight when I'm not supposed to be working, because right now, if I talk to you now, I'm sacrificing this. Now you have a way. Did I lose you, or is that me? I never lost me. It'd be interesting. Did anybody else lose me? I'll ask. Anybody else lose me? My screen did not go blank as it sometimes does, but then again, no one else is answering right now, so let's see. I don't know what kind of delay this thing works on either. Did anybody else lose me, or has the feed been constant? Just like to know. Andre did not lose me. Lord, it's just you, Pablo. So just Pablo lost us. All right, so now that you have a way to quantify it, and I meant to tell everybody this in the very beginning. If you guys would all hit the share button, I'd appreciate it. But we're about done, so I don't know if you need to do that now. I guess you could still hit share now. That'd be great. And that tells me, by the way, we're on about a 30-second delay, because I'm getting all these things coming through. So when I say it, then by the time you type it, then by the time it shows up, and then by the time it makes it through cyber world, satellites, Wi-Fi's, whatever, and gets here, it's about a 30-second delay, it seems like. You know how much your time is worth. You know how to calculate it, quantify it, turn it into something real and tangible. Because of that, you should be able to do a better job of protecting it. Right? Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you just didn't understand how valuable time was. I can buy that, right? Maybe I've never told you. Some of you, I've told you, okay? But others, you didn't know. Now you know. Now you are able to. Ron says I'm frozen in time, but I think it's just you guys. Everybody else seems like they're okay. Now you know how valuable it is. Now it's up to you to go out there and protect it. Now it's up to you to cradle it, to hold it, to make sure that no one else takes away from it, because you understand the true value of it now. All right, so as we wrap this up for today, this has been fun. Next week, by the way, a couple things real quick. Don't jump off yet. I want you to hear this. Next week, we're going to be talking about mindset. How to keep a strong mindset when things are working against you. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to tell you one new thing that you've never heard. Like there's not like, ta-da! Like there's this piece of information that I have for you that is so powerful about mindset. I'm not really going to probably share anything new with you next week about mindset, but I guarantee you this. All the things I do share, all the things you guys share back here will be great reminders, powerful reminders, instrumental reminders for you remembering to do what you're supposed to do to help with your mindset. It's not new info, guys and gals, but it is very important info. So be here next week at noon. We're going to do mindset. And then let me see, what else did I want to remind everybody about? Hey, it looks like I'm going to be doing a tour. I'm in the process of trying to finish lining it up. So if you're in some of these cities, I might be coming your way. I'm trying to do 10 cities in 10 days. I might be doing it in about 2 weeks. Trying to line that up right now. And it is for fundraising for the Houston relief effort. So 10 cities in 10 days. If I can get 100 people per room, if I can coax everybody in the room at a $50 per person to attend, because it'll be a free event, 3-4 hour workshop, trying to get everybody to attend, give a little bit of money to the cause. I could raise about $50,000 per room. I'm sorry, $5,000 per room. 10 rooms, $50,000. And I found a grocery store in Texas, in the Houston area, that will give $5 worth of groceries for every dollar actually raised. So that would be $250,000 or $250,000 raised for those in Houston, with the potential of some of it going to Florida now, it looks like, if Irma in fact does come in. So I'll be letting you know as I progress on that. Right now the cities are kind of shaping up to look like San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, Boston, New York, Atlanta, Tampa, Dallas, Houston, and Southern California to be determined. My date for me to be, I could do a few in Southern California because it's so easy. The other ones I'm actually, you know, just hopping flights each day, getting to a new destination, and then hopping a flight, going to a new destination. It's all being covered by me. So there will be no 100% of the funds raised will go to charity. I'm covering my flights, my hotels, my car rentals, and all that good stuff. So there is no 100% will be donated. So keep an eye out for that. And then if you'd continue to let everybody know about my January event, I would appreciate that. Two things. First, if anybody's planning to attend Inman in New York in January, tonight's the last night of the early bird tickets. So you should probably get on that. And two, my tickets are still available on... Hi, Carlos. My tickets are still available for the Jumpstart at the end of January as well at jumpstartyour2018.eventbrite.com. Jumpstartyour2018.eventbrite.com. Tickets are still available for that as well. If you would let friends, coworkers, family, friends, enemies, I don't really care, anybody to get there and support it, that'd be fantastic to fill up the room. We're going to have a big room, close to 450 agents this time. So over 20 speakers so far confirmed and lined up, getting ready to release those soon and let you know who they are. So keep that in mind. Keep an ear out for the Houston / potential Florida fundraiser and what's going to be going on with that. And next week, same time, same place, episode number 5 on Mindset for the Real Deal with yours truly, Dan Smith. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the participation. I appreciate it. If you guys would hit that little share button down there so that when you get off, people who wouldn't even make us live still see it and maybe will know about it for the next time. I would also appreciate that. If you need anything, you know how to reach out to me. Email me, dan@bydansmith.com. Go to my website, bydansmith.com. Follow me pretty much everywhere you can follow me in the social media stratosphere at, you've guessed it, bydansmith.com. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.